Well, do it live! Fuck it! Do it live!
Welcome to the Mouthpiece, episode 170. Today we're going to talk about, well, the Super Bowl that I did well on, the NBA. We're going to talk about my last 18 days of poker, and we're going to talk about whatever else you want. We're going to talk about, well, fuck it, the Mouthpiece is next. Welcome to the Mouthpiece. It's been 18 days. I apologize. So Super Bowl weekend, I went out, then I got sick. I was sick for like 7 days. I don't know what it was. I mean, I didn't have a fever, but I was very congested. I was spitting up. I felt like crap. And no matter what I did every day, I felt like shit. So I apologize, missing last week. There was so much to talk about, and I didn't get a chance to talk about. So, well, we're going to start off the show by letting you all know that I will be playing in a Meetup Game at Hustler Casino on Sunday, March 2nd, and I'm going to put up the flyer for everybody who, if anybody's in LA and wants to come down and meet, play poker with me, I'll be there from 1 till 7, I think it is. It's on the flyer, and then I'll be playing on the stream all next week. So I'm definitely playing Monday and Thursday next week, and hopefully Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday. That's kind of the goal, to play down at HCL next week. Now, I go to HCL once a year, sometimes twice a year. I've done rather well. Hopefully, I will continue to do well, and we'll make some money. So when I last talked to you guys, I had just lost the most money I had ever lost in one day. And I ended up losing $98,000. That was Super Bowl week. I made a lot of mistakes. I did not play my best, and took a big loss. And so the big loss happened on, well, maybe actually I didn't tell you guys about the big loss. So last time we were here was the 6th, which was Thursday. And I took my big loss that night. I was like 28K loser. I jumped off the podcast. I was like 50 loser. I got it down to like 20 loser. And anyways, I ended up playing like 6 more hours. I was like 24,000 loser. Got a little bit tired, started playing bad, and I lost like 60,000 the last hour, and I took an 85K loss. That was the biggest loss I've ever taken in 4 years in the game that I'm on. So what's up, James from Ireland? Thanks a lot, buddy. And so I was like shook, because on that Monday of that week, I was stuck 80 and lost 53, then grinded back 44 of it before losing in 85. Now, the thing about the reason why I knew I was off and making some mistakes, now I ran pretty bad, but I mean, the most I had ever been stuck is 52,000 in 4 years, and now I got stuck 80 twice in a week. So when you get stuck so much, you need to figure out what you did wrong, what you're doing wrong. And I mean, I know exactly what I did wrong, what I was doing wrong. And I just was, well, it kind of was like a catch-22. So person who runs the game wanted me to start playing more hands, and if I didn't, the people who played the least amount of hands were going to get the least amount of playing time. So I wanted to, I mean, I could play fast, I could play a lot of hands, but I decided I took some spots that were unnecessary. Like, I had come all the way back from 54 loser to only be 20 loser. And I decided to 4-bet and bet every and 3-barrel. And something I don't normally do, but I thought my image was really good. I was playing great. I was 54 loser, now only down 20. And I got 3-bet by a well-known player. I'm not going to name any names of anybody I play with. And I 4-bet him in position with ace jack of hearts. So he made it like $8.99. I 4-bet to like $25.99 with ace jack of hearts. He called. Flop came queen 4-5, and maybe I 4-bet to $29.99. I don't know, but yeah, because there was $6K in the pot. So I bet $2K on a queen 4-5 rainbow. He called, and at this point, I know he's got a queen. I'm pretty sure. But my image is so tight that I decided to go for it. So now the turn card comes a 5. So there's 4-5-5 queen. He checks, and now I bet, let's see, there was 4 and 6. There's 10,000 in the pot, and I bet 5,500. And he called. And the river came at 10, and he checked, and I bet 11,500 into 18.5. And he used like 3 time banks, says, I'm 90% sure this is a donation. I'm 90% sure this is a donation. And he called, and he shows me the queen 6 of clubs. So he called a Mike Matusow knit ass 4-bet, which I never 4-bet, very seldom, with queen 6 suited and out of position, and decided he was going to calm me down. Now, at the time, I said, if you're going to call my 4-bet with queen 6 suited out of position and call me down with my image, that you're going to be in for a rough few weeks. So we'll get back to that in a minute. So now, instead of just betting the flop and then giving up and losing 5K in the pot, I lost 24. Now, instead of me being down 25, I was down 44. Then I made a couple of 5K hero calls, and I'm down 54, and we're playing 4-handed, and I pick up queens against aces, and a guy 4-bet me who could 4-bet me with anything, but he was playing pretty tight at the time, and I just got tired, didn't see past my own hand, and I just 5-bet jam queens. He had aces, and that's how I got stuck 85K. So that was Super Bowl week. Now we'll fast forward a few weeks. So the person that called me down with queen 6 has now had the worst 2 weeks of poker in this game that he's ever had. Now, it doesn't shock me, because like, if you're making those calls against me, that means you're in for a rude awakening against everyone else. And it's, I mean, he stuck a lot. And so, yeah, it doesn't, I'm always right. Like, when I say, if you're calling me down when I I very seldom 4-bet barrel. And when I do, I most of the time have it. Now, I need to start 4-betting and barreling a lot more. And there's times that I do, and they never catch me. But if he's going to do that with Queen 6 against me, I mean, he's just dead against everyone else. And so, once again, I was right. He's had a horrific 2 weeks since this hand. And he's a nice guy. I wish him the best. So fast forward more from my 2 weeks in poker. So that was Thursday night. Friday, our app game met for our annual Super Bowl weekend, where we play on Friday night, or Friday during the day, all night, and then we go to dinner on Saturday. We had an amazing dinner, we gave out like awards to everybody. Really fun night, really good dinner, great people. Super Bowl weekend was amazing. So turning around Super Bowl, going into Super Bowl weekend is what I tell you guys all the time. Mental toughness, right? It's real easy to take your biggest loss in 10 years and just crumble. Or you could go and start fighting. So we got in the live game. It was quarter 50-50, 50 ante, quarter 50, and I bought in for 10. I had 20 that I was willing to lose. And I bluffed a big pot on the river and showed it and said, in live poker, buddy, I could read people. This ain't the fucking app. It's a lot harder to read people on the app when you can't see their reaction to the flop or the way they put their chips in or whatever. And so I picked up like 10K right away with a pair of 8s on a ace king 10 4 board, whatever. And then I kind of just grinded, and I'm like boom and boom and boom and boom, and the next thing you know, I'm up 22K. And at this point, I was planning on playing all night, but a person who plays in the app game, who gives a lot of action, when he's in the game, I always get destroyed. He makes the game bigger. He 3-bets to like 1,500 all the time, and I just never win a pot. Even though he loses a lot, but he always destroys me. So he jumped in the private game to my left. And then because he's in the game and gives a lot of action, we made the game quarter 50, 100. So, that's like, that's 300 blind. That's a 100, 200 game. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, I really, after taking an 85K loss and now I'm up 22K, like, I don't really want to play 100, 200, It's not about what I win, it's about like my sanity. So I elected to sit out and watch the game for a little bit. First we played a progressive stand-up. First time I ever played the progressive. And 4 of us lost 2,200. It's actually kind of cheaper, but it's also, you could win a lot more in the stand-up. If anybody wants to know how progressive stand-up works, I can explain it to you. It's kind of interesting, first time I played it. So now I'm up 20, and then that's when I sat out, and I watched the game for a little bit. And as amazing as that is, for like the first time I've ever played with this person who likes to make the game big, he played really good. And he's capable of playing really good. He just fucks around a lot. And then Phil Locke walked in, and gave him a hug. Hadn't seen him in a while. We talked about old times. We talked about so much funny stuff, you know. Midwest poker. I could talk about that Jawanda Paul Phillips final table if you want to talk about that. I remember that like it was yesterday. So we start talking, and then we start talking about the time when we were in Aruba, and this guy made this like $12K bet. We all put up like $2K. He was going to stay in the pool for 24 hours straight with this bowl over his head. And his name was Matt. I forgot his last name. Figured it out. But we were talking about how he ended up winning the bet because he had somebody giving him like a hot tea, and he was able to put like a hot towel around his neck to keep him warm because he originally was freezing. There was like no way he was ever gonna do it. And then we talked about, it's funny how we remember so many different things. We were playing like, he never did tell me this, but we were playing 50 to 100, and I had the straddle on it, and I just like, he raised my straddle, I had aces, and I just 4-bet him really big, and he just 5-bet jammed. And somehow the flop came out like Jack, King, Queen, 9, and I somehow scooped it. And I'm like, what did you have? And we kind of brought up that because I won like 35K in that pot. And then we were talking about the time that we were in France, and we were on the coast of France in what's the name of that starts with an N, whatever. No. It was on the coast by Monaco, and that's where they ran a big poker tournament out there, and we were comped to be there, a buy-in plus our room, and they took care of us really good. But we were outside in the beach, and there was this like ship where you could barely see like miles away, and I bet him 10,000 he couldn't. He was like a really top swimmer, but I didn't care. I bet him 10,000 he had to go out to the ship, touch the ship, and swim back. And he bets me 10, and he only had like 90 minutes to do it, is what it was. So he takes the bet, and we're watching him on binoculars where you could barely see him, right? It's like a blip, you know? And he ends up, the moral of the story is, because we brought it back up, is he went out, touched a ship, and like the Coast Guard was there, like, what are you doing swimming out here? You're not allowed to swim here. This is a shipping lane. He's like, no, my boat's over here. Oh, right over there. I'm just going for a swim. And then he swam back, and he did it like in an hour and 18 minutes. So he won the bet. And he's bringing up the time about the Coast Guard, like they wanted to like arrest him for swimming in a shipping lane. I thought it was insane. You know, he was a good swimmer, but it was probably a good 2 miles each way. It's pretty crazy. So we brought up that. We talked about told him to check out my documentary on Amazon Prime. He said he would, and it was good to shoot the shit with Phil. Phil's always been one of my favorite people in poker. Like he legitimately has got a heart of gold. He's a good guy. We talked about the first day when he first met Jennifer Tilly, because I was at it was at the WPT. They had a what's it called at the Commerce Casino. It was an invitational and a bunch of A-list All the big celebrities showed up, A-list, B-list celebrities, and it was a free roll invitational for thank you for supporting the WPT. And we had that, by the way, in 2004, 2005, 2006, 2007, 2008, maybe even 2009. And then they got rid of it, which, I mean, they gave away.
Yeah, they had it in 9. That was the last one I went to.
2009 was the last one. And they gave away $1 million. So it was like, and $250K for the winner. It was a free roll. Sure, you know, levels go up every 20 minutes. And that's when he met Jennifer. And he was telling me the story, how they ended up like becoming boyfriend and girlfriend. Like he didn't even know who Jennifer was when he met her. Like I did, but he didn't. So we talked about that. We talked about just all the old times and stuff. So it was good to catch up with Phil. Shout out to Phil Locke. And so Super Bowl weekend, after I get done talking to him for like almost an hour on the rail, I come back to the game, and I'm kind of watching the game, and it's playing much bigger. And I just decided, you know what? I lost 85 yesterday, which shook me. And I mean, it shook me to the core. I won back 20. That's 20%, 25%, almost. I said, this is mentally strong for me. It bounced back, taking a win. Like, if I stayed in the game and I lost it back plus, after the 85K loss, I just felt that it would literally destroy me. Like, it could mentally hurt me or destroy me. But by taking a win, this helped. Now we go have a great dinner Saturday night. Everything's wonderful. Now comes the Super Bowl. So I think I told you guys I was betting like 1,000 a game. I had this big losing streak where I lost like 20 bets in a row out of 21 bets, so I stopped because I didn't want to go down that rabbit hole again. And but the guy who I bet with, he's a close friend, so if I tell him to not take any of my bets till the Super Bowl, like he's not going to take advantage of me. So we had a deal that I couldn't bet till the Super Bowl, and I could bet up to 10,000 on the Super Bowl. So I was 1,000,000% sure that unless the refs fucked Philadelphia, that the Eagles were going to expose Kansas City for the overrated team that they were. And I didn't hit everything because I did take a pretty bad beat for 2K. So I bet, which is a big bet for me because I'm not going to bet 20 or 30,000 like I used to. Like, the worst thing that could ever happen to me is win 100,000 on a game, and then I'll want to bet big again. So I keep it small. So I bet 5,000 on Philadelphia on the money line. 5,000 at Hurts to win MVP plus 350. And then the bad beat. I bet 2,000 on Kansas City under 17.5 points, getting 3-1. So it was 2,000 to win 6,000. I mean, this is an 8K robbery of all robberies, right? I mean, Kansas City couldn't score 17.5 points in that game if they played 100 times, right? I said all year on this podcast, this Chiefs offensive line, the left tackle especially, was weak, and that they won like 6 games by miracle. I mean, we talked about it on the podcast, like even the Houston game, if it wasn't for the special teams, Houston completely outplayed them on both sides of the ball, right? If it wasn't for like the Bills started that game missing one of their corners. Then they lost their top corner 5 minutes into the game. And Kansas City was able to put up their most points they put up in a game all year. First time they scored over 30. And even with that, Allen had a chance to take him down the field for a field goal or a touchdown and win the game. So, that Bills team, I've said it, their defense was very suspect, right? So, I said it on the show too. The Eagles went into Baltimore and held the best offense in the NFL to 15 at home. They went into Cincinnati, held the second best offense in the NFL to 17 at home, including shutting them out the second half. What did people think that front four was going to do to an offense that was ranked like 19th in the NFL? I mean, they rushed 4 and Mahomes never had a chance. They rushed 4. They never blitzed once. I mean, people like on the We Win podcast that I'm on with Phil Woodley, Cantu. Oh, Kansas City's got all the tricks in the bag. They've been rope-a-doping all year, just playing with teams. So, and now it's 3P time. Well, like I told you guys, and I'll stick with it. 3 years ago, Kansas City got to the Super Bowl because the moron coach of the Bengals punted the ball to the guy who ran it back to the 45. Then on the very first play, they get a roughing the quarterback on Mahomes, and then they kick the field goal and lose. Goes to overtime. All the guy had to do is punt the ball out of bounds. The game was over. In the Super Bowl last year, Kansas City scored 0 touchdowns until 2 minutes to go in the third, when the punt somehow hit the 49er guy in the foot, which handed them 7 points. That was the only touchdown they scored in the game, except for the one in overtime. They were completely shut down. The offense was terrible. Kansas City won 2 Super Bowls with a terrible fucking team. This year's team was, they let their left tackle go in free agency. They drafted a left tackle who was terrible. And they had a lot of injuries, and the offense just looked bad. And it's kind of like I said before the game. Well, you don't have a healthy Pacheco that could put up 100 yards. Pacheco, since he came back from injury, looked like shit. Well, there it was. They couldn't run the ball. They couldn't do anything. Like, they couldn't. They just thought they were going to drop Mahomes back and they were going to win. And I've been saying it for weeks. To win in the NFL, you run the ball, you stop the run. You run the ball, you stop the run. Well, who runs the ball and who stops the run better than any team than Philadelphia? Philadelphia dominated it. If they played if they played 50 fucking times, those two teams, Kansas City might win 5. That's how the difference in talent there was on those two teams. So, anyway, I end up winning. What did I win for the Super Bowl? 5 plus 15 is 20 minus 2, 18,000. Yeah. And I was going to bet the under in the game. This is a true story, by the way. And I was going to bet 5,000 on the under also. But I had a dream the night before that Philadelphia scored 48 points and blew out Kansas City. I'm like, well, if they scored 48 points, like the over-under is only 48 and a half. So I didn't bet the under. I was right on the Barkley under 116. It got bet down to 113. So that was good. So Super Bowl weekend was a nice little bounce back. Well, I thought Hurts would play his best game ever. Do you see how good he was the week before against the Rams? Or against Washington, I mean? He played off the charts. Listen, give Jalen Hurts his credit. This guy was benched at Alabama for Tua. Then he came back the next year and took Tua's spot and won a championship. Then he played great at Oklahoma. He was a running quarterback that couldn't read a defense. And look at the work he put in. And look, he's top 6 quarterbacks in the NFL now. So give the guy his due, man. This is what I always say. Work hard in life and good things happen. Sit there and say, why me, why me, why me, and do nothing with your life. Bad things happen. Give Jalen Hurts kudos. He lost that Super Bowl 2 years ago. Remember what he said? I just got to get better. Right? They were 10-1 last year before the wheels fell off. Because when they were in that Super Bowl, everyone knew that back-end defense was overrated. And it got shredded. And I don't think they knew it. And it got shredded last year. But they fixed it this year. And that kid that got the pick 6, wow, what a draft. What a pickup at number 9. Amazing how good he is. So, kudos to Philly for really, I said it since week 7, they were the best team in the NFL and it wasn't even close. And even though I had a bad year in the NFL because 68% of all NFL games were won by favorites this year. So, of course, you know, all the fucking squares on the We Win podcast that I'm on, they all think they're geniuses because they bet favorites and over. And I'm on the dog half the time, and if you're on 50% dogs and 68% favorites win, you're just going to have the worst year ever. I hope they do ban the tush push, by the way. It's ridiculous because I'll get to that in a second. So anyway, you know, as bad as I was in the NFL this year, and I was not good, I was about 500 on my top 2 picks, though. I mean, when it came down to the playoffs, I was right on every playoff game, except for like one. I was right on the Super Bowl. I mean, even the Rams against the Eagles, I had the Rams that game. Like, in all reality, I mean, that's another thing. They're talking about, like, letting Stafford walk, the Rams. Like, the Rams were one play away, one missed assignment on Jalen Carter from beating Philly and going to the Super Bowl because they beat Philly. They weren't going to lose to Washington. Rams are good, man. I thought them and Philly were the 2 best teams, and I was right. Yeah, the dog is the right side in the long run. If you're betting dogs, you're going to win in betting sports. Period. Like, I know from a guy that's lost $6 million betting sports, like, you cannot win betting favorites and over. You know? Yeah, I had the Rams for 1,045-1. So, you know, it was a freak year where all these favorites won. And there was, think about it, the lowest total preseason was New England at 4.5. There was like, what, 5 teams that didn't win 5 games? 3 teams that won 3? So that was another thing. Like, that's why some of these teams that everybody thought were really good weren't that good, because there were so many bad teams. That, you know, like Minnesota. Wow, Minnesota won 15 games. But go look who they beat, right? They went 0 for 2 against the Rams and 0 for 2 against Detroit. Those were 2 best teams, right? Now they beat Green Bay twice, but as it turned, look who Green Bay beat. They beat nobody, and they were exposed in the playoffs. So all the teams that beat nobody were exposed in the playoffs, including Kansas City in the Super Bowl. I do believe Philly was the best team. I do believe the Ravens were the best team in the AFC, but the Ravens just self-imploded. They had 6 losses this year. Everything was a self-implosion, always. So, anyways, enough with the NFL. Yeah, I think they should get rid of the tush-push because, first of all, there's a rule that no player is allowed to push another player to get yards. It's in the rule books, right? Now they started letting a lot of it go when a guy starts rushing, and then he starts to get gang tackled, and then people all kind of push him 3 or 4 yards down the field. But if they actually follow the rules, the tush push is against the rules. You know, yeah, you can push, but you can't pull. It's a good point. So, you know, that's kind of my recap of the NFL this year. As bad a year as I had, I was dead right since week 7, where I said the Eagles are the best team in football, and it ain't even close. If Detroit doesn't get all the injuries on defense, I said they were the second best team, and it ain't even close. Because if Detroit didn't get all the injuries on defense, they were going to win it all. But, I mean, they're missing 11 defensive starters. I mean, it had to catch up to them. And when you get a stud like Daniels from Washington, I mean, he shredded them. I mean, there's nothing you can do. Like, you can't. I mean, they had like 4 people starting that were on the fucking couch in week 7. You know, they have Philly as favorite to repeat next year, which I don't blame them. They've got cap space, they've got draft capital, and they got the best roster probably in the NFL besides Detroit. Now, I think Detroit needs a safety and maybe another pass rusher, and Detroit. I think Detroit should be the favorite to win next year, depending on what they do in free agency. I mean, them healthy and the Eagles healthy, I still think Detroit has the better roster. You know, they were 1 or 2 defensive players short, but their offense was so good. Now, but when your defense is so banged up, you have to. You know, you have to play a perfect offensive game, and they had 4 turnovers, and Washington beat them. We're gonna be done with football here. We've talked a lot of football. The Raiders with Pete Carroll. Who's going to be their quarterback? I mean, is Rodgers going to go to a Raider team? Or like people are like, oh, Russell Wilson. You could have Russell Wilson. He sucks. Fuck Russell Wilson. I don't know. I think Goff is pretty fucking good. I do. Like, when he was with the Rams and they went to the Super Bowl and lost to New England 13-10, like, he really struggled to read a defense. He had a lot of turnovers. Now, this year, he had 2 bad games with turnovers. You know, the Washington game and the Houston game. But I think Goff's fine. I think he's fine. You know, listen, when your defense can't stop anybody, and it's you have to play perfect, and they shouldn't be in the spot where they have to put up 40 a game. They should be in the spot where if they put up 28 a game, they're going to win. You know. Like, if the Eagles put up 24 a game, they won every game. Except for 1. And that's the way it's supposed to be. You know, defense wins championships. So, that's why, I'm not. As a diehard Laker fan, I'm so happy to get Luka Doncic for the long term of the franchise. But like, forget what you saw in Denver yesterday. Now, granted, the Lakers played the best defense I've ever seen them play in my life, but you saw how dominant Davis was in that first game with Dallas, and then he got injured. He's out for 2 more weeks. I mean, he's out for 5 more games. They're going to have to go 3-2 in those 5 games, or 2-3 at worst, or they're in trouble. But I do think that they are the biggest team in the NBA, and if they were healthy, they would be really tough. But we'll see. Where I really missed a bet yesterday is betting against Dallas, against the Warriors, because the Warriors had won 4 out of 5 since getting Butler, and I forgot that they had the Lakers on deck in Los Angeles. And for sure they were looking past the Warriors to the game in LA tomorrow. And if I was betting, because I don't bet the NBA or anything, but if I do make a bet here or there, and like if I'm home, I'll see who's playing, and I might bet 1K on one game or something. But if I was like a betting person that was paying attention to it, I would have bet a minimum of 2K on Warriors yesterday, because I knew they'd be flat. Now everybody is going to be, oh my God, did you see the Lakers defense against Denver? Look what they did to Joker. And what they did to Joker was impressive on Saturday. Look how good Luka, they're going to crush Dallas. I bet you, I don't know what the line is, but somebody could tell me, but probably going to be Lakers 7. Give me Dallas plus the points. They were looking past last game. And I just, they're missing. They have no inside game because everybody's out, but they match up with the Lakers. It is impossible to watch. It's so ridiculous. They just go up and down the court and shoot 3-pointers. It's so ridiculous. It's really. Yeah, I like Dallas tomorrow plus the points. Everybody's gonna be like, "Oh, Luka's raging. Look how great they were against Denver. At Denver, they had lost 8 in a row to Denver, and they fucking destroyed Joker." They did. He held one of his worst games of the year. But the NBA is just like the NFL. It's a game to game, week to week. And what's the narrative? The narrative is what you just wrote. Luka's going to be raging. He wants vengeance. Take the points. The line's going to be inflated. It's 8. Yeah, I thought 7.5. 8. Take the 8. Take the 8 because Dallas wants the game just as much as the Lakers do. And they're both NBA teams. And just because the Lakers played one great game doesn't mean they're just going to turn it on. Like Dallas played as bad as they could against the Warriors because they were looking past the Warriors to tomorrow night. Remember, Dallas had won 4 in a row before they lost yesterday. So take the fucking 8. I think the Lakers win. I think they win by, I don't even know if they win. They might lose. But it'll be a close game. This won't be no blowout. No way. Dallas is, they've heard it all. You see, that's the thing is you say, oh, I mean, don't think Davis and Christie have heard it all. Oh, the Lakers traded for Doncic and got napkins back. Well, Max Christie was averaging 19 and 9, and he's 22 years old. He's a great 3-and-D. He's going to be a superstar. And they got the best two-way player in the league in Anthony Davis and the best defensive player in the league. Like, you guys think he's nobody. So, We'll see. You asked me what the Lakers' ceiling is this year. Well, honestly, I didn't think anywhere, like anything. But after what I watched, the defense they played against the Joker yesterday, wow. The ceiling is the Western Conference Finals to me. And I made a bad bet. Well, I mean, you could say I made a bad bet, but I bet $2,000 if the Mavs and the Lakers both make the playoffs, that the Mavs will go further than the Lakers this year. Now I lose Anthony Davis in game 1. Guy hasn't been injured in 2 years. So that's a really big loss because Dallas will be fighting, just to make the play-in game. And so even if they advance, they're going to be the 7 or 8 seed. So unless the Lakers move up to the 2, which is possible, they're only 1 game back in the loss column. I don't think Dallas ain't beating OKC. And if Dallas gets out of the play-in and gets to the 7, and Memphis is the 2, they are bigger. They got a shot to beat Memphis. But, I just look like I have a bet that can't win because Davis got injured. Because I know if Davis didn't get injured, the Dallas was about to win a fucking shitload of games. Anthony Davis is a fucking stud. Anybody that doesn't think he's a fucking stud just doesn't know anything about basketball. He's a fucking one of the best fucking power forwards or he's a shooting power forward. He might be a shooting forward. No, it's power forward. Maybe ever. Like, he's so good. Anyways, let's not talk about the NBA. We talked about poker. We talked about the NFL. We talked about the NBA. We talked about me playing Hustler Casino. And did you put up the flyer on here?
Yep.
Okay. Sunday, 1 o'clock, I'll be in LA. And then I'll be playing all week. Let's take some phone calls.
The Mouthpiece.
If you'd like to take part in our phone call segment, you can give us a call at 702-329-0480. And if you're a snowflake or a pussy and you don't want to talk to me, you can email me at mouthpiecepodcast@gmail.com. Also, follow me at the Mouth Matiso on Twitter for times that our call-in segment will be live. 702-329-0480. Give me a call. We talk poker. We could talk sports. We could leach into politics. Trump's fucking killing it, by the way. And the Dems are in a fucking absolute meltdown. It's pretty funny to watch, to be honest with you. And the world's in a better place. I'm going to throw in just one thing about politics, and then I'm going to try to stay away from it because it's just not healthy. But it's so funny. People are like, oh, Trump sided with Putin and called Zelensky a dictator. And the liberals had a meltdown. We'll get back to that in a second, but I'll tell you why he did it. Welcome to the Mouthpieces, Mike.
Mikey, what's up, brother?
What's going on, man? What are you doing?
Same old shit, buddy. It's Gypsy Frank. I was calling to say what's up. It's been a minute.
Yeah, how's poker going?
How is it going? Not well. That's what I'm actually calling in. I need some advice.
Well, I lost $85K in one day, and I've won 60 back since. And I've done it slowly and methodically. What's that?
What were you playing, 50, 100?
No, I lost in 10, 20, 40. I lost 85 in one session. It's the biggest loss I ever took.
Jesus.
That was not the biggest loss I ever took, but it was the biggest loss.
For that stakes?
It's the biggest loss I've taken.
That's crazy.
It's the biggest loss I've taken in since 2016. So it was.
What were you shooting? 20 balls at it?
Well, I was only down like 24 with an hour to go. Then I talked about it earlier on the podcast. I was only down like 20 after being down 57, and then I 3-barrel bluffed somebody who called my 4-bet with queen 6 out of position, and then I barreled the queen 4 5 5 10 board all streets, and he called and
He heroes you down with queen
well
6.
and what I told him when he called me was, if you can't fold that hand to me, then you're in for a very, very rude awakening. And that person has lost the most money he's lost in the last 2 weeks in our game in 5 years, which
Sounds about right.
which I knew was coming, because I always say it, it's just like the guy 3 years ago that when he raised me on the river in a paired board and I re-raised all in on with stone bluff, and he called me with the 8-eye flush, and I said straight to him right there, if you can't fold that hand to me as tight as I'm playing, then you're drawing dead in the main event. And he ended up finishing like 169th, right? So
Yeah, I fucking remember. I had either 5 or 10% of you in that main when I won the free roll thing.
I just felt that listen, you got to use your image. There's 2 ways to play poker. You could play lots of pots, and when you make hands, people are going to pay you. Hold on, I'm going to sneeze. Okay. Or you could play super nitty, and then when the blinds go up, you could change gears, and they always think you have it, right? So will you get paid a lot more when you play lots of hands, and you call off a lot of hands, and you bluff a lot of hands? Sure. But you're going to swing a lot more.
Obviously.
And if I had $2 million, I would buy in 30 deep, and I would swing 60K a night, and I would win 10x more than I do now. It's just, I've always been more of a tighter player that uses my image well in spots. And so, it works for me.
Let me ask you a question. Do you use any type of apps to track your sessions?
No, I knew nothing.
Do you know what your hourly is in that game?
No, nor do I care.
If you had to guess?
Well, since I got back in the game, I'm down. And that was over a month ago, so 6 weeks, 7 weeks, and I'm down like 70K. No,
well, that's kind of a short sample. It doesn't necessarily equate.
Right. And I don't put in that many hours anymore because like he's been letting me play a little bit more because I'm buried for I'm still stuck for the last 6, 7 weeks.
Oh, what, you got booted from the game?
I did, but I got back in it. And everything's fine. It was kind of an overreaction. And again, one of the reasons why I took that big loss was in a private text with me and a few other people in the game. There was you got to play more hand. The people who play the least amount of hands are going to get the least amount of playing time. So
it's understandable.
I felt like I had to take some very close spots, and which I did. That's how I got buried 57,000 that day. Then I went back and played my way, and I got it down where I was only 20 loser, and that was right after we got off of my last podcast, I was 28 loser. I grinded it back to only 20 loser, and then came the 4-bet hand that I barreled, and he called me down. I lose 24,000 with
What were effective stack sizes in that hand with the queen six?
I was probably, let's see, I had one back 34. So
And he has you covered?
I was probably 51,000 deep. Listen, when he calls me on the turn for 5,999, I'm just supposed to give up the river, and I know it. You know what I'm saying?
What did you bet on the river?
I bet 11,500 and 18.5. You know. And he says, I'm 90.
I like the sizing actually because it looks value-y. Like,
yeah,
you would do that with kings and aces.
Yeah, like I didn't want to like overbet. Like then a queen's gonna fold. It looks like I want him to call.
Yeah, exactly.
But I'm gonna start overbetting more pots when I have it and when I don't, because when you fall into a certain sizing when you're looking to get called, and you've got to mix them up. You know what I mean? So
I just think keep it balanced is important.
Yeah. And so, you know, listen, when you don't play for a long time, right, and you're not putting in volume, you're not going to be sharp. You're going to be a little bit off, you know. And then when they said that they wanted, you know, people to play more hands to get more playing time, that's kind of like how I got stuck. 54,000. I was really wasn't gambling, but like one hand.
Just being a bit more splashy than usual.
You know, I once I was deep, right? Like normally I buy in for 10. You know, I'm just never deep, right? But now I'm like 35 deep. I make it 200. I get raised to 1,000. I have king 10 of diamonds on the button. Another guy calls 1,000, and 3 of us take the flop. Like, so I call 800 more in position, king 10 suited, and so there's 3K in the pot, and I'm 20K deep. And so now the flop comes 4, 3, 4, 8, or 4, 5, 8. I think it was 3, 4, 8 with 2 diamonds. And the guy made it 1,000. He overbets the pot. He bets 4,003. And that told me right then and there that he did not have aces or kings.
Was that the 3 better?
Yes. That told me that he could have ace king easily, and he's trying to he
just take advantage of range advantage.
Correct. Yeah, and the way he plays, I've never seen him do that before. Now, I could just fold when he makes it 4,000 in the 3, or
I think calling is the worst thing to do.
You can never call. You can never, ever call. Now, another friend of mine's in the game.
Agree.
Another friend of mine's in the game says you could call 4,000 because if you call 4,000, Mike, like alarm bells are going to go off. And I'm like,
what are you trying to rep a set in that spot, basically?
Well, yeah. I mean, that's what I do. I always raise flops when I have a set on a wet board, on like a 4, 3, 4, 8, or a fucking 4, 5, 8 with 2 diamonds. You know, you have to raise sets in that spot because people think you're on a draw. So I said to myself, and I had to make a decision quick. Like as soon as he bet the 4, it didn't go through my mind that folding, because I'm, you know, I was already 20 loser at the time, or 30.
I get it.
And we run 2 boards in our game. So when he makes,
you got 2 overs and a flush draw. If you're calling,
I have one. I for sure have 1 over and a flush draw. I have 12 outs twice, which is flipping to almost, and we get 2 boards. So
I'm guessing he has jacks in this spot.
And he ended up having queens. I thought it was jacks.
Gotcha.
The same thing. Right? So I make it 12. He says, whatever, Mike. And then puts in the 20. And but he's folded to me many a times in this spot. So, and I missed both boards, and now I'm down. Like, that's how I went from 30 loser, 28 loser, like 48 loser. So, again, because they wanted me to play more pots, and I was playing a little deeper against the person that it was against that you want to give action to. I just thought it looks good for the game that I'm giving action. And when you got 12 outs 4 times, you're, what are you, like 60% to 62% to hit one of them?
Yeah, I think you're like in that spot versus queens. You're what, 33? I'm assuming. I don't know exactly.
Wait, I mean, no, you got 12 outs twice. 12 outs is.
I'm saying on one run out.
No, you're fucking 43, 44%. You're 44% 12 outs twice. You're 40% with 10 outs. Or 35% with 8 outs. So, you got 12.
That's unfortunate to lose both there.
What's that?
It's unfortunate to lose both run outs.
Yeah. And so, but like that's kind of not how I play. Like when they make it 1,000, I just throw King 10 in the garbage can. You know what I'm saying? I know that sounds stupid. King 10 suited in position. But when you're playing deeper and you want to get more action in the game, and I'm never going to get hurt by flopping a pair. You see what I'm saying? I'm too good. I get away from a lot of hands. I just felt that raising it to 12, commits myself. And again, I wasn't convinced he had an overpair here. That sizing to me looked like he wanted to just take it down, because it's unusual that he plays queens that way, by the way.
I mean, bottom line, in my opinion here, it sounds like you've made your living the last 4 or 5 years, 3-4 years off of this game. And if you want to continue to do that, you're going to be swinging a bit more, trying to give more action, and that's just going to have to come with the territory.
That's it. Yeah. And I got no problem with that. Like yesterday, I picked up aces early in a spot where I got 3-bet, and I 4-bet really high to make it look like possibly I had ace king, and I got called and I doubled up. And that was against the same player that had the queens, by the way, when I had the king 10 of diamonds. So I got the double early, plus I had won already like 3K. I was up like 11,500 in 5 minutes. And I'm like, oh, this is great, we keep this, good going, you know what I mean? But somehow I went from 11-5 winner to 12-5 loser, back to 11,000 winner, back to 10K loser, back to 8K winner, and ended up winning 2,500. So swinging 20,000.
That's pretty swingy.
What did I say, 3 times or 4 times I swung 20,000?
I think you said 4 times.
That's, for me, the way I play, that's insane. You know what I'm saying? Now, after I was up 11-5, I ran, let me tell you what the hand was. I lost with queens. Let me give you the flop exactly. Okay, so I 3-bet or 4-bet with queens and get called. And the flop comes 6, 7, 8. And they check to me. Or I'm sorry. That's right. I 3-bet. A guy behind cold calls the 3-bet. And the other guy folds. Now the flop comes 6, 7.
So
eight.
you're heads up or you're going 3 ways?
The flop comes 6, 7, 8. And I just know this is his range. And again, this is the same person who had the queens against me, and the same person that I had doubled earlier with the aces. So I checked the flop, and he bets 1,400 in a 2,000, 2/3 pots, which told me right then and there, when he bet that big after I came off the lead, that he doesn't have a set. Now I could just jam.
He's going to have a pair and open ender pretty often.
It's
in that
very.
spot, I would imagine. A lot of
it's
two
got
pairs.
all the eight. He's got all the 8-9s and fucking 7-9s and fucking 5-6s. Okay, but I know he doesn't have 2-pair here. But it's okay. I'll just call the 1,400. If a safe card comes off, I just lead out and bomb it. Right. Well, now the turn card comes at 10, and I check. And he checks. Now the river card comes at 10. And I check, and he bets a perfect size. He bets 2,400. So there was 28. There's 4,800 in the pot. Or 5,000 in the pot, and he bet 2,300. 2,350 in the 5,000. And, I mean, it's a good bet. I'm just thinking to myself, well, you know, he doubled me up with aces.
The possible counterfeited 2 pairs and whatnot.
I'm thinking like, I feel like I'm beat, and I don't want to call. But he bet just the right amount where, because he doubled me up with aces for 10,000 earlier in the day, I felt, well, I guess I could just call here. And I called, and he had the ace-9 of diamonds for straight. Now, I like his check a lot on the turn, right? Because he bets the turn, it's just a fold, right? And
I agree.
And I like his sizing on the river also. And so I lose 23, 37. I lose 5,000, 4,700 in the pot. So now I'm only up 6K.
If the board doesn't pair a 10 and it's a, you know, say a jack or whatnot, are you still calling in that spot?
Yeah,
for the same sizing?
I think so.
Okay.
I don't know. Honestly, my gut says I was beat, but I didn't know how I was beat. And sometimes a guy who gives a lot of action in the game, you just pay him off and make him feel good. You know what I'm saying? And so I had no problem with
I hear you.
I had no problem with the call. So, but now I'm up 6K. Then I have this hand where I have so I bought him for 8. Now I'm up 6K. And I make another payoff of 2,300. In this hand I lose like, again, this hand was weird. Again, I thought I was beat, but I didn't know how. So I raise with ace-7 hearts, I get flatted. The flop comes ace-10-3 with 2 hearts. I bet, this is a big hand, so I bet small. Like I bet like 140 into like 400. And they call. Now the river card comes a deuce. 1, 2, 3.
Did he defend out of the big blind?
No, flatted me behind me. But I also felt like if you got a set or 2 pair, it's a good spot to raise, because if I have a big ace, you know, you could get a lot of money. So the 2 pair were off the board. So now the turn card comes a deuce, and I elect to check, thinking that they had a 10 or maybe even jack queen or king queen. You know what I'm saying? Because I bet so small, they could easily have jack queen or king queen and then try and take it from me when I check. So I check, and they bet, let's see. So there was 141 is 280, and there's 1,000 in the pot, and they bet like 699 or 720, like almost 2/3 pot.
So 3/4 basically.
And I call. And now the river card comes, the only card that I'm calling the river with that I probably don't win. Because if it bricks off on the river and this person goes big, I'm probably going to fold. But it comes the offsuit ace on the river. And I check, and the person bet 23.50. And I'm
what
like,
does he have here? Ace Jack?
Exactly. That ace jack. And because that's the only hand they could have, or I have the best hand.
Yeah, it's not good enough really to 3-bet free if it's offsuit. It's a tough spot.
Right? So now I lose another 3,500. Next thing you know, I'm like dead even. I'm like, well, this sucked. I got out 11.5 in 5 minutes. 15 minutes later, I'm dead even. And then I get stacked, and now I'm down 8,800, which is an interesting hand. So I raise.
Can I ask you a quick question going back to the last hand really quickly?
Sure.
With the A7 suited, do you ever consider check raising the turn in that situation?
No, because I thought I was ahead. I didn't think I was behind.
Okay.
Right? It's
Gotcha.
like, what am I, like, they never have ace 10. They never have ace queen. They never have ace king. And if they have a set of threes, this is a great spot to raise, right? I'm always raising a set or when there's a flush draw out there, all the time. So could I bet so small? Could they have 4-5 suited? Yeah, definitely could have 4-5 suited, right? That was the only hand I was really worried about when they went 3/4 pot.
Well, if he
on the
has
turn.
that, God bless him. I mean,
Correct.
That's monsters in the closet.
But I also know if after I call 750 and they bet really big, the person that usually, this person bluffs a lot, but I also have a good feel for when this person has it, when they don't have it. Like I was stuck. I won a massive pot that got me from 12 loser to 8 winner with aces, and the person was stuck and kind of steaming a little bit, and it was kind of an unfortunate spot because they raised, I 3-bet to 700, so they made it 200. I made it 700 with aces. The button calls 700. The small blind squeezes and makes it 3,300. And now this person jams 20,000 with queens, and I have the aces behind. And I get it. It was kind of unlucky because I thought when the person made it 3,300, I thought it was. I didn't think that they were very strong either. So yeah, it's kind of unlucky. But going back to the hand, the ace jack hand, when the ace rolls off and they bet 2,400 on the river, I didn't snap it because this person usually gives up when I make a big call on the turn. You know what I mean? And so I took a couple time banks and said, I don't know what you got. Okay, I call. And they showed me ace jack. So, whatever.
So in your head, do you think you made a mistake there? Because I think that's pretty damn standard. Because you could have king, queen, king, jack of hearts.
I don't think I made
there.
any mistake. I just didn't know.
I agree.
I just knew the person didn't have ace king, ace queen, ace 10, or a set. So, ace jack off is really the only hand. And
you could have like an ace 9 suited, possibly,
and
ace jack off.
And the person usually when they're stuck, they 3-bet ace jack all the time.
Interesting.
Yeah, they certain people start 3-betting a lot more when they're stuck because they want to get more money in the pot. So ace jack was kind of off the felt too. So I used a time bank and a half and called, and like I said, I actually not even a time bank and a half, maybe one time bank and called because I just because I checked the turn on I'm never checking ace king or ace queen, right? So they don't have to really have much, right? I wish I would have bet the turn, because if I bet the turn, now if I check the river and they bet, like, and I have the hearts, so I know it's not a missed draw. See what I'm saying? I think the only mistake I might have made in the hand was not betting the turn and check calling the turn, which it's fine, whatever. So anyways, so now I raise the cutoff with ace queen, and I picked up somewhat of a timing tell on this person, or at least I thought I did. And they, when they're weak and they 3-bet me with 2 napkins, they usually raise really fast. And so now they made it 950, and I 4-bet to 2,900, and this is probably.
What do you open to? 200 in this game?
I open usually to 140, but sometimes I open to 200. Depends.
Okay. So 140, 950.
Right, and but I opened this one at 200 because, and then they made it 950. I made it 29.99 with 58 with 5,600 behind. I think it was like I started the hand with 80. I was dead even, so I started the hand with 8,800.
So you're cut off and he's button?
Yeah. No, I'm cut off. He's the small blind.
Oh, okay.
And so I don't know. Once I 4-bet to 2,900, I'm just not folding because I have 5,200, 300 behind, and unless they have aces, you know, I'm getting close to the right price to call, even if they have ace king, right?
I'd much rather him be on the button than out at the small. Usually people are a lot tighter with their
not in this game.
Range
not in this game. They love to 3-bet out of position with napkins. And I called off the 5,300 5-bet jam. He had ace king. I lost both boards, and now it's down 8,800. Now, listen, like, again, is it a little bit gambly? Yeah, it's gambly. You know, I'm supposed to fold for the fucking 5-bet and save the 5,300, right? But there's 6,000 in the pot, you know, so it's 5,300 to.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, pray he has jacks and call it off, I suppose.
I mean, I'm always. I mean, I was only getting a little over 2 to 1, and I
mean, even if he has fucking kings, you're 70-30.
Yeah, you know. So you know, it's just like whatever. I was a little disappointed in my play because now I was up 11-5. And
that's a little bit spewy, no offense.
Of course it's spewy. I know it. I told you that before the hand started. you don't need to tell me, bro. I mean,
mistakes from what you told me.
I mean, come on, man. You think I don't know when I fucking spew or make a mistake? And I'm like, okay, no more gambling, guys. Because listen, I want to, again, I'm trying to show that I'm gambling more. So, but this pays off later on. I'm going to get to this point, right? This pays off. Now that they watch me 4-bet the ace queen off and call off, now, you know, that, again, that sticks in their minds. So, now I raise, I get 3-bet by the same person again. I have ace king this time. I 4-bet to 2,900, and he makes it 10,999. By the way, I was 20K deep starting the hand, and I threw it away, and he showed me kings. I showed him ace king. Okay, so
good fold.
This is a good fold here, right? Okay, so now we fast forward a couple hours later in the night. After I fold there, I'm down like 12K, right? And I'm sitting between 12K and 10K for hours. And then came this hand. It went raise, cut off. I call, button with ace 10 of hearts. Now I could 3-bet here, but I decided to call. And now he makes it 1450 out of small blind. And I'm like, why did he make it 1450? And he did it pretty fast. He doesn't have shit. I call. Now, again, remember, when I'm playing well, you see little things, right? But this time I was positive he didn't have anything. So now, this is pretty unlucky, by the way. Now the flop comes ace 7-8 rainbow. And he elects to go 20% pot into 3,000. So he bet, what? Like 700? Yeah, he bet like 700.
Yeah, about that.
I said he don't have shit. I call. So
do you have backdoor hearts here as well?
Yeah. And the turn card comes the jack of diamonds. And now there's 3,100 in the pot. Now he bets like 2,400 and I just jam it on his ass. 9,000 more. And he snap calls me and shows me the deuce 3 of diamonds. Don't worry, come 8 of diamonds on the first board. And now I have to sweat to not get scooped. And I survived the other one and we chopped the pot. It's tough to play a $25,000 pot with ace 10 versus deuce 3 on an ace 7-8 rainbow and chop.
Yeah, no shit.
So I was pretty deflated there because I'm going to win. I was down 12. I'm going to win 15 in the pot or 13 in the pot, and I'm going to be winners. I kind of was a little bit depressed.
Well, after hearing that, the ace queen doesn't sound as spewy, to be honest with you.
You have to know your player, right? Exactly.
Yeah.
So
if he's capable of doing that with deuce 3.
Yeah. So I get pretty fortunate to one of the players who had just gotten cooler and lost a big pot, right? 3-bet me with I picked up aces. It was the same person that I stacked with aces earlier in the night. And he 3-bet me, and I just felt that I was only 10,000 deep at the time, or 10,500. I just felt a jam would look kind of like a little bit weak, maybe. So I jammed the 10-5.
Understandable, yeah.
And he called, and he had ace 5 of spades. You know, I thought he might tilt call me with a hand like that because, you know, he just lost a massive pot. And so that got me to where I'm only down like 1,800. This is why you asked me how I was swinging 20K a day, or yesterday 4 times.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. And then I picked up the aces against the queens, against the one person, and the next thing you know, it was crazy. It was just a really swingy night, but yeah, that's poker.
At least it's not one of those fucking games where you get stuck a 40 ball and you can never get it back.
Yeah, well, you know, a lot of times it is like that. That's why you got to make sure you don't get stuck a 40 ball. That's, you know, you got to know how the game's playing. This game was playing really big yesterday, and you know, yeah, it is what it is, man. I thought I played well.
I got a couple quick questions for you before I let you go.
Yeah.
So my backer gave me an ultimatum recently, like about 3 weeks ago. I guess his stable has been running really horrible and basically told me I need to play full time and invest so many hours in studying per week and invest so many hours in playing per week or I'm done. But mind you, I'm in like, I don't know, between 14 and 15K makeup at the time. Mm-hmm. Obviously, that's not my, you know, I have no interest in fucking studying full time and playing full time. I'd rather slit my throat.
I have no interest in studying either.
So so basically he gave me an ultimatum. If you want me to continue to stake you, then this is what you need to do. I have no interest in doing that. Do I have any obligation to him anymore? Basically, he's dropping me. Mm-hmm. Essentially is how I feel.
Well, I mean, it's like when I won 1.3 million for a guy in 2014, and he dropped me before the World Series when I just had a losing streak and I was 200K in makeup. I was very disappointed because I won so much money for him, and he told me he had $1 million behind me at the time. But we could also look at it as 200,000 I don't have to pay back.
Yeah, I mean that's true.
Because I will never ever leave somebody who's staking me in makeup ever. I will play. I agree. What I would always say is just give me 10,000 a month to pay my bills, and that 10,000 will go in the makeup figure. That'll go on your makeup figure, and I will work. Listen, I never lost for anybody, not one person. Actually, I did lose for one person.
But ethically here, do I have any no. I'm not bound to him anymore here. No. I'm not in the wrong.
No.
By any means.
Not at all. Well, your answer should be, well, I appreciate you helping me, and I want to play for you, and I will never leave you in makeup. But if you're putting that kind of pressure on me, I'm going to have to go my own way. Because, why should you be forced like that under pressure? You know what I mean?
Okay, here's where it gets a little bit, this is my last question.
Sure.
Most of the games I have access to, he brought me in, but over a year or two of playing these games, I've made friends with the club owners and whatnot. Mm-hmm. If I decided to play on my own and played in these clubs, do I owe him any type of rake back shit like that, do you think?
You don't owe him anything.
Cool. No. That's how I felt. I just don't want him to, turn around on me.
But what you say to him before you break off is, I'm sorry you feel that way. I like playing for you. I will never leave you in makeup. But if you're going to put that kind of pressure on me, I have other avenues to make money in poker, and I will go my own way. And I apologize for that, but that's on you. You know what I'm saying? If they're not going to ever drop you, you should always work your ass off to get out of makeup. I was 1.2 million in makeup once. For when Full Tilt was staking me, just
yeah, that doesn't sound fun to climb out of. Which I've climbed out of 30.
I've climbed out of 3. I've owed 3.3 million and climbed out, man. But it's all mental, dude. Everything. I'll say it again. It's all mental. Yeah. Anyways, I'm gonna take some other calls. I will.
Hey, good talking to you, man. I hope you run better.
You got it. Take care. Bye.
Be well. Bye.
Yeah, we have a bunch here.
Hello. Please state your name after the tone and go.
Goodbye.
Yo, Mike, thanks for taking my call.
What's up, buddy? How are you?
Pretty good. I wanted to talk about Elon Musk, where a lot of people are not registering right now.
They're so stupid.
The game of war has changed, and we are not prepared for it, right? All these drones, everything we're seeing in Ukraine, going down, nobody's ready for anything. And Elon Musk is the guy we want on our side.
No
People
shit.
just can't figure that out. How smart is Trump?
This is
our military is so weak.
I heard this the other day, right? And it was from a very, very well-known Democrat. And they said, going against Elon Musk, whose idiotic strategy is this? like his approval by everybody is so high. Like he was like the most loved person on the left for the last 15 years, you know? And the fact that this is how brainwashed they are. The only difference is legacy media is dead, so they're drawing dead. Is like the Democrats should be saying, yeah, man, keep exposing we're all on board with. See, they don't want to give Trump any credit and that is a bad strategy. Okay, that might have worked in Trump 1.0, but when they're doing something good, you call it out as doing good, but they have to go all out assault against them because they're going to expose, because they're the ones that have been profiting off all the fraud and the corruption.
Absolutely.
That's just
and
it.
But you know what's kind of funny too about Musk? Like, if they pissed him off and he left, and like say he went to Russia, that would be like Mahomes going to, you know, like that would sway. They would become the favorites.
Yeah.
They had the Russian like fodder of humans with Elon Musk.
You heard what Elon
engineer.
You heard what Elon said, right? He said, "I've never loved another man in the way that I love Trump." He said he is the most caring, loving person he's ever met. Right?
Sure, Michael Jackson, Mike Tyson, they all say
all
that.
of them, right?
They all love him.
And so
everyone who knows him.
The media,
Tom Brady.
Yeah, the media turned Trump into the fucking worst human alive. But it's all coming out now. Like people who voted Hillary in 2016, Biden in 2020, people who despise Trump, and I know 10 of them voted for Trump in 2024. Why? Because once all the media lies are exposed, it shows you how, well, this is a lie, and this is a lie, and this is a lie. Like, what else are they lying about? And then you start doing your research, you know, and you realize...
Well, it's frightening. Just how many people? Is it just like what's been beat into your head over and over versus what you actually think?
Right. So, like people like my friend Barry on the show that comes to the show, or my friend John that listens to the show, they don't.
Barry Wong.
They won't get out of their bubble, right? They won't go and look for facts. They'll just watch MSNBC and say that's fact when it's all propaganda, right? And then they're convinced that Fox is propaganda, but that's because MSNBC is telling them Fox is propaganda, right? Now, Fox is a lot of propaganda, don't get me wrong, but I'm just saying, like, most things are...
It's not propaganda, but yeah, they please the crowd.
Correct, right.
More.
Where the other side, like everything that came out of MSNBC and CNN since 2016, 90%, all
CIA lies.
Yes, all lies. So... And now that's been exposed, because every time they throw up something that is everybody thinks is fact, Elon just gets it community noted right away and posts the actual clip. Like their latest media hoax is Elon left his son at the Trump rally, and they see him walking down the stairs, and then he just takes off. In all reality, then the real clip is he, right before they show him leave the frame of mind, he turns around and he throws his hands up in the air and come on, son, what are you doing lagging, And so they're trying to destroy Elon Musk is absolutely the wrong strategy of the Democrats, right? The Democrats are boxed in a hole. They did this to themselves by following the woke ideology, right? And they pandered to the 1% of the trans cult and the woke ideology. And
well, I think that was all a revenge, because the Chinese have blamed the U.S. for like the K-pop, for all the feminism of like the Asian male culture,
and a lot of it is.
I think that was
a lot of it is the U.S. Yeah. So, in all reality, right? Like, a lot of these executive orders, like no more new transgenders in the military. Like, and people were like, well, that's transphobic. Well, no, it's not. Okay, our military is a fighting alliance of merciless war
Hey,
machine.
dude, I did 3 tours in the infantry in Iraq and Afghanistan. Read your book when I was over there, and I was like, this guy is my hero.
Thanks,
As
man.
I was in the infantry in Iraq.
Have you seen my documentary yet?
Dude, I was just actually thinking about it today. I got to order it tonight. It's on
Amazon Prime. Yeah, it's Matusow, Matusow. It's on Amazon Prime. It's $2.99. Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah, no, dude, I absolutely will get it.
But
100%.
The truth of the matter is okay. So Elon is every day. He posts on the Doge website what they found. Right, every single thing that they find, and then they show the documents that they find. But then the
I'm getting sick and tired of hearing about this Guatemalan. Like, I keep hearing the same 3 things. Do you really want to fund They keep saying something transgender in Colombia.
Dude, they gave $84 million to some transgender opera in fucking Colombia.
It was 84,000.
84,000, whatever it
way,
is.
I want more. You
want you want the meaty stuff, and that's funny.
And I want to see volume. I want to see a lot. I want to see the real bullshit.
There was what was it the other day? Somebody put the Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tank goes, keep showing, give us more meat. We want more meat on the bones. We want to see more. And
how much did we give Pfizer?
Yeah, how much, exactly. They're saying that they're going to find enough waste and fraud in the next year that they might be able to give a $5,000 refund check to every taxpayer. Think about that. Think about if Trump does that with the money that they found.
That would be amazing.
He'd be a hero, right? And
I'd pay off all my credit cards.
You got to be careful though, because when you give a big stimulus, you saw what the stimulus checks did to. That's what crashed the economy.
To get in the baseball card business.
Right. That's kind of what crashed the economy was the stimulus, because that's where the inflation all went up, right? And then nobody wanted to work. So, do I think he should do something like that? Honestly, I think it would be bad. Because
he should be above it. But I mean, if we really are going to save that much, and everyone's going to have to wait a little bit longer on the phone, everything's then he should do it. If he can justify it like that for our future pain and suffering.
Yeah, it's so funny. It's so funny. Like Barry's like, oh, Elon has no proof. He shows the document off the fucking website. Why don't you fucking read? Don't listen to your fucking media. Dude,
did you listen to Tucker today?
No, I haven't. But I know he...
I only heard the first 10 minutes, and check this out real quick. He was talking about gold. He's like, how come, at the beginning of time, all these different civilizations from all these different corners of the world all use the same thing?
Mm-hmm.
That guy's money. And I was like, wow, what a freaking awesome question. And the dude actually had a real answer.
Right. What if they audit Fort Knox and the gold's not there? I mean, it's never been audited for 50 years. And you know how many, think about it. How does a senator or a president not be able to go into Fort Knox and see if the gold's there? Nobody's even.
Yeah, I mean.
They said if they go.
I'm in New Jersey.
Yeah, they say if they go
Our
in.
senator just had gold bars on them. So we'd have to search all their houses.
They said that if they go in to audit Fort Knox and the $600 billion in gold isn't there, it's going to cause a worldwide.
Well, Tucker was brought up. His guest brought up some good points, and again, I didn't finish it. But you want to keep that kind of secrecy to prevent other nations from. If they know exactly how much gold you have, they can devalue your own dollar by buying more.
So
I mean, there was all these crazy cool answers.
He's right, and so I'm all for auditing Fort Knox to see if the gold's there. But if it's not there, they got to keep it quiet. They can't. Like you just said, if they go public, this could be it could be catastrophic for the economy and for the U.S. economy, you know.
Yeah, and that's where some people, I guess, could draw the, like, it would hurt Elon more than it would hurt anybody. If money no longer existed,
Right.
he would lose the most, and Trump would lose like the second most. You know,
the only thing is if they.
So that's why we would probably never know.
You know, like the Trump coin came out, everybody made like infinite millions, except for me, I lost on it, and then they get greedy, and then they put the Melania coin out, which tanked the Trump coin, which tanked Solana. And it's kind of like what would happen if the gold wasn't there, right? Bitcoin will go from $100,000 a coin to $1 million a coin instantly. Well, who has...
Yeah,
how much?
Absolutely.
Well, think
right?
about this. How much crypto does Trump own and Barron own? And Elon Musk own. You know what I'm saying?
You really just like sparked something in my brain.
Yeah.
So I might actually just for the first time get crypto, but how do you actually own it? I mean, couldn't it all just be BS? Like somebody gives me like a 14-digit number and now I own it. Is that how it works?
Well, I don't know. Like if I have to pay my $50,000 or $100,000 loss in a poker game, I just type in the address that they give me and it goes right to them, you know. And that's why, you know, the Democrats are like, they're anti-crypto. They're like, all the crime and cartels, and they're all using crypto to move money illegally, you know. Well, that's the thing.
But you're right, dude. If there's no gold there, whatever crypto we see Elon buying, like anybody who's in part of that audit,
Elon's not about money, dude. Like he bought fucking Twitter.
No, yeah.
He bought Twitter for $44 billion. It was worth $5.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's
all because he
joke.
wanted to save free speech. And see, the people on the left don't even understand. I know 100 people who got their accounts taken off of Twitter. Dude, they took the sitting U.S. president and had him removed from all social media sites. In a country of free speech. That's all you need to know. You know?
It started with Alex Jones.
Yeah.
And then
the sick
part
is
he deserves it. And I remember telling everyone, like, slippery slope.
Yeah.
Like a real a-hole.
The sick
and then
part
literally a month later, they had the president off.
The sick part is the modern day left cheers that on. The old school liberals, they're a party of free speech. They're a party of everything that Elon's doing with Doge. They're anti-big pharma and anti the healthcare. The new left is anti-free speech, pro-big pharma, pro-war, right?
Dude, the pro-war part, so gross. Dude.
Trump's trying to end every fucking war, and they're going crazy. And going back to that, like I said it earlier, is when I first started off the podcast today, is
dude, all this shit you mentioned was the biggest profit margins.
Yeah, but the left is so stupid, right? They're like, oh, Trump is pro-Putin and anti-Zelensky, and he called Zelensky a dictator when Putin's a dictator. Well, they're so stupid, right? How do you make a deal with a dictator or somebody like Putin unless you make him believe you're on his side, right? You're good, Zelensky bad, right? Now he comes to the table because Trump ain't going to, I know what Trump's going to give up, right? This is what, you mark my words, you heard it here first. Everything I've ever said on this podcast, I've been right about. The only thing I was wrong about was I said Biden would never make it through his first term because he was brain dead. Well, I was right. He was brain dead, and he wasn't running the country, and he should have been 25th Amendment.
You were right, though. You weren't completely wrong
right.
there.
Now it's come out.
Yeah. You got backdoored in that one.
Right. Even on Joe Rogan, they had a guest on 2 weeks ago, and they brought up, the conspiracy theorists first thought for sure it came from a lab. But a lot of those conspiracy theorists who have been right on everything.
Dude, I'm a pureblood, bro.
And they said straight out, believe that COVID was done on purpose. Well, it's going to come out. It was done on purpose, okay? Because
Yeah,
it was done on purpose so they could
Ukraine,
they could change
right?
all the mail-in ballot laws so they could fucking steal the election in 2020. I mean, that's just
absolutely. Pennsylvania, Philadelphia. Remember the water leak in Atlanta? Gross.
The water leak in Atlanta. They quit counting in all 4 main swing states for 1 hour at the exact same time.
Detroit, they taped up the windows. I know, bro. We've been down that road, man.
But most of Democrats or liberals don't even know about the water leak or them stopping the count for 4 hours. You know what I'm saying? So
I remember going to bed thinking, "Oh man, wow, Trump won."
Yeah. Well, here now we could go back to the new thing. If they weren't so stupid and just let Trump win in 2020, he would have been stuck with Mike Pence and he'd been stuck with Trump 1.0 getting nothing done. Instead, he spent 4 years thinking about his revenge and how he was going to actually do what he promised us in Trump 1.0, which is what he's doing now, right? And now they got everything to lose. You know what I'm saying? And it's just the thing is honestly, I don't think the Democrats are going to see power for 20 years. I think it's set them back a minimum of 10, maybe 20. Like people are like, well, Trump's got to work his ass off to get everything done in the next 18 months in case we lose the House, right? Well, if everything they're doing is pro-American people, the economy gets better, the prices of gas drops down to $2 a gallon, everything drops down, we're not going to lose the House. You know what I'm saying? And you have Elon Musk with the biggest microphone in the entire world that will probably get...
Well, when you say that, it scares me. It makes me... Because they'll resort to a police state. So we got to look out for a false flag.
Yeah.
If you're convinced they can't win legally for 20 years.
Well, they don't have a message, right? Their message is
they just beat it into your head.
Okay, like now they're trying anything to stick. So now it's like, oh, let's go back to Russia. Now even this idiot Barry's like, oh, Krasnov is Trump's Russian new name. So now they're back to
the town halls on CNN clips. That's their new thing.
Dude, now they're back to Russia.
Federal employees. Yeah. All these federal employees who got fired, I think they're going to start getting paychecks to become protesters. So they're going to be like, here's a $10,000 from Soros, right, but we need you to go here, and here.
It doesn't. The thing is this is honestly, if I was the Democrats, right, this is what I would do. The first thing I would do is be all pro everything that Elon's doing. Okay, instead of
You mean after you cut your penis off? You're talking about?
No, I mean like I would, but I think that they need to be like on board with Doge, right? Because I think it's instead of being all out to stop him, because the only reason why they're all out to stop him is because all their fucking buddies and all their kickbacks are all in those. They're gonna find it all, right? But that's the only way they need to be on board with Doge. Then they need to come up with a message that actually resonates with the country. Like Trump is everything he's done so far is what he promised he was going to do during the campaign, right?
Yeah, the last one they had was "Yes, We Can." I think. It was "I Hope." What was the Obama one? Change or something can happen. I forget.
Yeah, hope and change, right? So
hope and change.
So like, the thing is like Trump said during the campaign he was going to go after the cartels. I'm like, he ain't going after the cartels. The cartels, they have a bigger military than everybody not named Russia and the United States, right? Like,
yeah, I'm sure
if he goes after the cartels, you don't think that they have rocket launchers that'll fucking take Air Force One out of the sky?
They bought in Ukraine. They probably bought before they left America for Ukraine.
Trust me, they got they got people all inside the country with rocket launchers that can take out fucking Air Force One. All right. So like,
no, they would take out one commercial jet, just one commercial airline.
And I'm not trying to be conspiracy here, but but he said fuck it, right? Trump's like, you've killed. This is another thing I don't understand. These fucking leftist Democrats are against this. Like, fentanyl has killed 127,000 people a year for the last 3 years. Dude, that's like, they're mass murderers. And so you know
Tell you what though, it is curing a whole generation from ever doing cocaine.
Yeah, well, like, you could, I mean, if you do something, you just test it with fentanyl test kits. But if you don't, you'd be insane to do cocaine without testing it. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But so
you're right.
They killed 22 people.
But time out, Mike. I hate to be so contrarian, but how much of that is from us in Afghanistan? Like what, 90% of opium or something in the world comes from Afghanistan. That once we started going there, that's when all this shit started happening.
Yeah, but
anyway, I agree with you.
But going back, so there was 22 other people running for president in Mexico. The cartels killed 22, all of them, and they let her become the president, right? And now she comes out and says,
we're going to work with them. I remember that.
No. She says there will be no U.S. military invading our sovereign nation of Mexico. Okay? And, of course, she has to say that because...
Yeah.
Right? But, like, in all reality, and anybody who's against this is very, very sick, if you're killing 127,000 Americans a year... Our fucking top military and all our
dude, and they're beheading their own people. That should be enough right there.
What are they called? The Navy SEALs, right? Everyone should be going in there, and we should be taking them all out, right? And
that should be training. That should be their live fire exercise before they go to real war.
And the truth of the matter is, listen, I mean, they could. The people asked me.
They could pay off the debt too.
Somebody asked me the other day. And I had asked this question also a couple of years ago. And then I got the answer and I relayed the answer to them. And that answer is, why are they killing their own buyer base by killing people with fentanyl? And the answer is really easy. And I didn't know it at first too, because I asked that exact answer. Well, the answer is yes, a tiniest amount of fentanyl can kill a person on the spot, right? But if it's 10 times more addicting than any other drug, and you get 10 times the customer base, and 1 or 2 of those die, you're still making 8 times more money. And that's the answer.
Well, I thought it was because, you drop a little bit in, you make 100 pills from so much fentanyl that one pill could accidentally accumulate too much.
No, it doesn't even need to be one pill. Like Lane Flack died from taking one line of cocaine laced with fentanyl.
Yeah, there's so many kids out here. You just think they're all junkies, but a lot of them are just...
No, of the 127,000 people who died, 110,000 of them probably weren't even drug addicts, or they took a synthetic opioid.
Yeah, weekend warriors,
right? Yeah. They were in pain and they took a synthetic opioid. So this is a problem, and Trump's a problem solver. And like, if he literally goes and fucking puts the U.S. military against the cartels, I mean, he'll be like a miracle.
We might find our gold bars there.
Yeah. But the thing is, I really believe if he goes that far, that there's no chance that they won't take him out. But if they do take him out,
then the movie gets interesting. Yeah, we're all in the Matrix. We need to fucking pick up the storyline.
Yeah. Anyways, good talking to you, my friend. Thanks for calling.
Yeah, you're the man, Mike. Thanks,
okay.
man.
Later.
Bye.
One more? Okay.
We got a few more, but it depends how many you want to take.
Yeah, we'll take one more.
This guy's begging us to call back. He says, I just have to push the one button.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but the person you called has a voicemail box.
Hello. Please state your name after the tone, and Google Voice will try to connect you.
Ebony Kenny thoughts. I'm going to go to that in a second. We've done 2 hours already. Wow. Yo, what's up?
Hey, Mikey, how are you?
What's going on? Who's this?
I'm a fan of your show. Can you hear me?
Yeah, who's this?
Yeah, this is your grandmother, you piece of...
Click. It's mad. People are sick. So sick. Anyways, the Ebony Kenny, I don't know the whole story about that. I saw her write this big article.
Well, Mike, you called me.
What's going on? Who's this?
Jared Franks, the Quincy, Louisiana, South Louisiana.
Nah, what's going on, Jared? How's
Super fan, first time caller, man. Super
nice,
fan.
Nice. Thanks for calling. I appreciate it.
How's it going, buddy?
It's going good, man. I mean, life is good. Things are improving.
We're above ground. God is good.
Yeah.
What else can you
the
ask
world's
for?
the world's in a better place. I don't feel like I'm going to wake up tomorrow and we're going to be in World War III like I felt every day for the last year.
Yeah.
Last year.
Yeah, man. You know, down here in the South, we're super Trump fans.
Yeah.
But you know, I don't know about. Maybe I don't see the bigger picture with everything. You know, he had excuse the train. I live by the train tracks.
Yeah.
You know, he had given Saturday till noon to release all the prisoners, and then he threw it on Israel. You know, what do y'all want to do? What's your opinion on that?
I'm sorry. On what?
You know, he was like, whatever Israel wants to do, we're 100% behind you. But he was the guy who said,
"Oh, you mean when he gave him the ultimatum at noon last Saturday?"
Right.
Yeah.
Last Saturday
well,
at noon.
he
said we're going to rate. You know, we're going to throw hell and fire down on you.
Well, that was Trump's art of the deal. You know, if you sound strong, right, and you get maybe you get them all back, right, and you know we got 3 more back. What they did to those little kids, that in itself, they should just be wiped off the map. You know what I'm saying?
They should be, man. No doubt.
And it's so funny. Like they're like all the people are like pro-Palestinian. It's like we didn't start the war. You guys did. You know, we didn't. You're the guy. You know, it's like you've been lobbing 10,000 rockets at Israel a fucking day or a month for the last 20 years. You know, it's like it's so ridiculous. And you know, listen, the far left and the far right are the exact same person, right? The Justin the Justin Bonomos of the world and the Dan Blitzerians of the world are lockstep in line with Jewish hate and anti-Israel. Yeah.
Right. You know, I'm definitely not. I'm in the middle, man. I wish we could have a good independent party, but. Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. You know, everybody asks like
maybe we're not seeing the bigger picture of what Trump did. I know he's fired some people.
Oh, I mean, I know exactly what he's doing. You know, he's making the government. Listen, this country is on the verge of bankruptcy. Okay, like
it's been that way.
Just our interest payments are more than our defense budget. So. The only way to bring inflation down, the only way is to cut spending, cut cost, cut as much labor out of the workforce, right?
Right.
And that's how, it's so stupid because Democrats have no idea how economics work, right? Like, the more money you flow into the system, the higher inflation goes. The less money that the government puts in the system, the lower inflation goes. That's how inflation works. Go look up the absolute definition of inflation. And
right.
And so,
and to lower it, you have to have layoffs.
So, okay, another thing is like people don't even understand, like, why did Trump rename the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America? And 99% of the people don't even know the answer because they're so stupid. And the answer is, for the stupid ones out there who I know many of them are in my chat, are Biden put an executive order that there is no drilling allowed in the Gulf of Mexico. Well,
right.
Trump just changed it to the Gulf of America, and he's just going to fucking drill. And what do you do?
I live 40 minutes from the Gulf,
right?
Man.
And what do you do when you drill, baby, drill?
For a living.
When you drill, baby, drill, you become the number one outsource of electricity, and then the gas prices go down to $2 a gallon, and everything goes down. And the more you cut out of the government, the more prices will go down. And that's just basic economics. And, well, I mean, the Dems are just, they're scared for their lives because of all the corruption is going to expose all of them.
I can't wait till Doge goes through and finds out how these politicians
all got rich.
Who's made $150,000 a year worth 20, 40.
The senators who make $250,000 a year, the House people make $150,000 a year. But the price of an apartment in fucking DC is, your bills are like $7,000 a month, right? Minimum. If you buy a house, your bills are like $15,000 or $20,000 a month, right? But they all somehow are magically rich.
I can't wait for that. They got our man Billy Walters for insider trading, which was BS. I hope they get these politicians.
I do too. And listen, I don't want to talk about it right now, but I got something in the works that's going to be really good for poker players. And the little teaser, the best I could say is one of my very close friends, just got appointed to be Trump's head of the IRS. And
right. Oh,
and
good.
So hopefully, we'll be able to fix these erroneous tax laws against poker players to where you win $1 million, you pay fucking $400,000. You lose $1 million, and it's fuck you. So,
yeah. Well, man, I haven't really been a poker player in 16 years since my daughter was born. I had to get to work, but I still enjoy it. You've been my favorite ever since
I appreciate it,
ever since the WPT Aruba, when you had the gold chain and you were talking all the shit.
Yep.
My dad wasn't a fan, rest in peace, but I've always liked the cocky, arrogant guys who can back it up. Seems like you've grown up a little since then, but still, the Mike I'm talking about.
Yeah. No, I've grown up a lot since then. Phil always asks me, Mike, why don't you go back to being Mike the Mouth? I'm like, dude, players play too good nowadays. You gotta focus.
They do.
Dude, you can't be fucking in the old days, I could make fun of all of them because they all fucking sucked anyways.
Right.
Anyways, I appreciate the call, man. We run our show usually Friday night or Saturday. I
listen to the reruns on Apple Podcasts,
well, don't be a stranger, man. Call in, shoot the shit anytime you want, bud. I'm here.
All right, Mike. Well, best of luck to you,
Thank you.
Man.
I appreciate the call. Thank you so much.
Have a good night.
Later. Yeah. Trump's a man of his word. Like, he will get no tax on tips. I guarantee you that much. But like, you know, I don't know, you know, he really wants to get rid of like federal income tax, and like the country was run on tariffs up until 1912. These are things I just learned, by the way. And they're going crazy, man. He's driving them all crazy. I think it's amazing. But anyways, I am going to work hard to try and recoup the 60,000 I'm still down in poker for the last 6 weeks. I will get back with you guys either Friday or Saturday, and this is a real good podcast. I appreciate you all. I love you all. Oh, you know, I didn't get on the Ebony Kenny subject because I don't actually know the whole thing, but call in on Friday or Saturday. I'll give you my opinion of it. See you guys later.
The Mouthpiece.